All right, welcome back to Virtual School Assembly. Today, I'm pleased to welcome Kevin Black. Now, Kevin Black is a wrestling coach in River Falls, Wisconsin. He specializes in coaching the total athlete, body, mind, and soul. And when I asked him to give me an intro, that's all he gave me. But I have to tell you a little more because Kevin never toots his own horn, and that's part of the reason I wanted him on the show today. Kevin was in high school a four-year all-state title winner in wrestling. In college, he was an All-American. And in life, he wins. The thing that I love most about Kevin, well, there's a two-part to this. One is he wears his faith on his sleeve. That's an important part of who he is, an important part of his life, and he lives his life accordingly. But a second part that goes with that is when you see how he treats his wife and how he treats his children, you understand what a man should be. And I've always admired Kevin from a distance. He probably doesn't even know this, but I love who he is as a family man. He's spent time as a stay-at-home dad. He of course does coaching. He started his own wrestling school and now is coaching at the high school level. He's coached Olympians, gold winners, and he's just done some incredible things. So Kevin, we're so glad to have you on the show today.
Hey, thanks a lot, Tyler. I really appreciate the opportunity to share my story, and I like what you're doing. This is something that kids need right now, and a little extra hope and encouragement, some inspiration. So I was really interested in taking part of this project because education has really had a big impact on my life. I was in fourth grade, and I remember making a decision then that I wanted to be involved in education and wanted to be a teacher and coach because my fourth grade teacher, Mrs. Lindquist, and she really put that little bug in me to be a lifelong learner and to value education. And then when I was in seventh grade, I had what I would say was probably one of the single most defining moments in my life. My French teacher, Madame Meyer, really just challenged me in a way that spoke in the moment when I needed it. And I signed up for French, and it was an elective. We could pick or choose between French and German. And in French, I didn't have any friends in my class, so I wanted to throw in the towel right away. It was hard. Learning a new language was hard. It was vulnerable. It wasn't comfortable. I wanted to be with some of my friends. And so I got the drop slip from the office. My parents said I could, they signed the sheet and said that I could be done with French. And I took it into Madame Meyer and said that I was done. And she looked at me in a way that I still remember is like she was looking through me into my soul. And she said, "I'm really disappointed in you. Are you going to just throw in the towel when things get hard, when things in your life, when things get hard, you're just going to quit?" And I was like, oh my goodness. In that moment, it just was exactly what I needed to hear. And it changed my life forever. I didn't want to be a quitter. So I decided that I was going to stick out French. And I did all the way through till I graduated. I took 5 years of French, and I've been to Paris a couple times and can hold my own. But the takeaway for me at that time, I was a seventh grader and I was a wrestler. I had big goals. I wanted to do some great things in the sport and also in school. And it just challenged me. I didn't want to be a quitter. So I was faced with different scenarios throughout my life where it got hard. And I thought back to that moment when Madame Meyer looked at me and said, "Is this how you're going to handle everything? When it gets hard, you're just going to quit." And I didn't want to be a quitter. So I carried that into my athletic and academic careers, and went to the University of Wisconsin, wrestled. Now I've coached at an elite level, and things get hard. And right now we're in a situation where things are hard, and, we can't quit. We can't throw in the towel. I can't throw in the towel on my kids or my family right now. We got to keep pushing through. So, and the other thing on that was, when things get hard and just showing up is, I grew up on a dairy farm. We couldn't take a day off. My dad had to milk the cows every single day. And so with that, I just had to school there in high school, senior skip day and things like that. I chose to go to school. And so when I graduated, I had perfect attendance, kindergarten through 12th grade. And that's what, when we talk to educators today, whether if I have wrestling records or coaching records, the thing that a lot of educators are most impressed with is that perfect attendance, kindergarten through 12th grade. And I think, one of the most important things is just showing up and doing your best and giving your best. And I showed up every day for school. It was important to me. I liked school, but it was also that same idea that I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to throw in the towel. You got to show up. You got to do your work. You got to do your thing. So that's why again, that's why I like this project that you're doing, because kids need to know that uh, um, that life can get hard, but we got to keep pushing, and we got to show up, and we got to do what we're supposed to, and don't quit, right?
Yeah. Now, before you can quit, you need to start. And part of showing up is starting things. A lot of kids are home right now. They're not in their normal environment, and a lot of them are bored. They wish they had more to do. Um, what would be your advice to them as someone who, obviously, you had to start wrestling, you had to decide to take French and things like that? What advice would you give to these kids who are sitting around and binge watching on Netflix and playing video games all day? Do you have any words of advice for them?
For sure. This is new. It's unfamiliar to everyone, right? It's unfamiliar to the kids, which kids need structure. They need organization. They need guidance and leadership. But you know what? It's hard for mom and dad too. This is new for us. It's new for teachers. This distance learning and having to have conversations with grandmas and grandpas on FaceTime rather than face to face. That's been difficult for everyone. And so I think first, just understanding that this is hard is okay, and it's unfamiliar, it's strange, it's new territory. We've never been here before, so we don't know how to do it. And I think if we can just admit to each other, right? Even adults tell kids like, hey, listen, I'm going to need you to step up a little bit. I'm going to need your help because this is really hard for your dad. I don't have all the answers, and I want to have all the answers. I want to lead you well, but I also got to wear my heart on my sleeve. I got to be vulnerable and tell the truth. And I think that that's important for kids to hear right now. They're confused, and it's okay when they look to mom and dad. Mom and dad need to offer the support and be a rock. They do. Moms and dads, you got to step up. You got to put your big boy pants on, and we got to lead, right? But we can also be true and vulnerable to our kids, and they can see that this is hard for us. And I've been fortunate in my situation to be a stay-at-home dad at different times. So this is new territory for us, but it's also a little bit easier of a transition for my family than it has been for some of the other people that we're in community with. But my kids, I just want them to know that this is a stressor on mom and dad, and we're doing the best we can, and we need some grace from them, just like we need to be able to give them some grace. So for us, that's been our starting point. Have we made mistakes? For sure. Or do I know how to do math the same way that I did when I was in fourth grade? I don't know. I'm learning. And so I'm just telling them the truth on that. But I also have standards, and I'm expecting them to get their stuff done and to do the thing and to be in routine, to have a schedule set. We got to post it on the wall, and that's different. We're a wild and crazy house. My kids are goofy. We're goofy. And there's a lot of joking and relaxed atmosphere normally, but we've got to make a change because they need structure, they need organization, and they need to follow that plan in order to get their schoolwork done. So that was a long answer, but my encouragement is right now, it's okay that this is hard. It's okay that it's difficult, but show up, do what you're supposed to, be your best and do your best, and do something every day to get better. Do something every day. You got to go to work.
Now, you've reiterated something that several people who have come onto the show have talked about, which is having a routine, having a set way. So that's really helping on the mental health side of things, is to have a regular routine for what you're doing. Now, but with that, this is a unique time. And I think kids really need to have special moments too, things that they remember, things that were unique about their situation. Is there anything that you're doing in your own home right now to make it fun and to make it memorable for your kids?
Well, we're trying. I think that making memories, being intentional about it as parents is a really important task. So we're trying to make memories. If they're memories, if they stick, that will be up to the kids. But one thing that we have done is we cleared our basement. We had a couch, TV. We moved the couch, put it in the garage. We kind of like stacked it up in the corner, and I put wrestling mat in our basement, which is not out of the norm for a wrestling coach, but for us it's different. So we kind of transformed our basement, and we still have a TV down there, and so we got a little guy who goes and watches a little show here and there, lays on the mat and watches, but we'll go down there and goof around and play around. And we've played a ton of little baseball games, and we're encouraging our kids to be, how would I say, well, just to be creative and how to create games amongst each other so that we can still have fun, but can't invite the neighborhood over for games. And so we've done a lot of those sorts of things. So competitive type games are probably going to be our takeaway with the memories. I have an education background. And so I've taken the steps to try to be, a big bad teacher as well. And so we've put together some lessons, and we've done some different things that they haven't done at school. And I feel like they're enjoying some of those things too. But we're trying to be creative and taking some risks. And if it doesn't stick, it doesn't stick, and that's okay. And I really do hope that in the end, though, our kids will understand a couple things about our family dynamics, and we value each other, as people. We all have a say, and we all get to have some input. But mom and dad are in charge, and that's important for them to know too, right? That there is authority. We are in charge. But we just have really enjoyed spending time together, and we're getting a lot of good quality time. It's been a blessing in disguise, and I hope this doesn't stay forever, because I need to get back to life, and my kids need to get back to life. But we've taken this opportunity to really cherish the time together. So
That's
yeah,
awesome. So at the time of this recording, it's actually Good Friday today. And I know a lot of different religions and churches around the world are participating in different things that might be even unusual for this time of the year. There's a lot of worldwide fast going on, and a lot of people are engaged in prayer and service. However, it's a hard time to be a Christian, because as far as reaching out and serving and helping others, you're limited when you have to stay 6 feet away, right? Do you have any ideas for things that anyone might do to just reach out and uplift someone else during this time?
We have a little group of wrestlers that I had some female wrestlers who were getting ready for the Olympic team trials, which were postponed. They were supposed to be 2 weeks ago, and we were on a real specific training plan, and we had to punt. We had to make some new changes. So with that, what we did was, we're not able to be together to train, but we're catching up on phone, on Zoom, and doing these sorts of things. But we put together this really comprehensive, in-depth spiritual and mental training plan over these 2 weeks. And it's been really, really fun for us. And our whole family's engaged. My kids are engaged in it, and they're all a part of the process. And it's been really cool. My wife goes for runs with the girls virtually, and they have a little verse that they read each day, and it's built up to today, Good Friday. And so, actually what we did was we took some of the letters from Paul, and I think if I really break down the character of Paul in the Bible, he was a sports fan, I think. And he talks about running and going into strict training, and like the mindset that he had was, it aligns pretty closely with those who are training for something great, who want to become Olympians and Olympic gold medalists. So we've had this real interesting string of passages that Paul is just talking about training for life and for sport and focusing on the good things. And we've used that to grow in the mental skills, but it's also been our way to continue with our community of building up to this day of Good Friday today and Easter this weekend. And so yesterday, what we did was, we had them do a thing about, reading about Jesus washing the disciples' feet, and how that can go into servant leadership. And as a wrestling coach, I'm very upfront with all of my athletes in that, as the coach, I'm in charge. I'm the top dog in the room. No questions asked. That's the way it is. And if you want to challenge me, and you're going to lose. And that's it. Right. But I'm the top dog. So I do the lowest job every single day. I wash the mats. I get there early and I wash the mats. And, for our athletes to read the scripture of Jesus washing feet as servant leadership, and then for us to talk about, like, hey, for me, I'm the coach. I'm the highest on the food chain, right, when it comes to the wrestling room. So I'm going to do the lowest job. I'm going to wash the mats. And talking about those things and pulling them out and talking about servant leadership, I think helps our athletes that we're talking, these couple athletes, to really own this idea of servant leadership. So what can we do to serve others? How can we lead by serving? And, we have influence as athletes. And so how are we serving by doing the lowest jobs? And right now there's a lot of things out there. My wife works in the medical world, and she's going to work every day. And so we're finding new heroes and talking about new things with people. And the really peculiar thing about all of this is it's taken our sports away, and sports have sort of become not only heroes but idols, right? And I think it's helped our athletes have a healthy perspective on who they are. We talk about that we're more than just athletes. We're like, who am I? I'm not a coach. It's just what I do. And so same thing with our wrestlers. But now we take those things away, take the Olympic trials away, postpone the Olympic Games, and now suddenly they're faced with the harsh reality that wrestling is just what they do. It's not who they are, right? And so now finding other people who are heroes that we can look up to, riding that fine line of not creating new idols in place of these old ones. But I think it's just really shook up the world, and we're seeing that serving is really the most important thing that we can do in our lives, and Jesus demonstrated that by washing his disciples' feet. So that's kind of, that's where we are today in the story. And, today is Good Friday. It was a bad Friday. It took a couple of days before it became good, but we have the privilege of hindsight. So it was really Good Friday. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and isn't that interesting that even now we can look at the world in a similar way, that horrible things are happening around the world, but who knows, we might look back 5-10 years from now and see all the good that came from this time, because people are figuring out who they are showing up, they are developing new talents and skills. And so this might be a real blessing down the road, but it sure is hard right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, if we're talking about Good Friday, it was an awful day, right? It wasn't good. It was awful. And then it became good, right? It became good for as Christians, maybe like 3 days later, it became good, or now in hindsight, looking back, it was good. We call it Good Friday, but it was an awful day. And this is a hard time. This is hard, but hopefully we can look back and say that it was good, right?
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Kevin or Coach Black, for coming on today. It's been awesome hearing from you and all your advice. If people want to learn more about you, is there a place that I should send them?
I started a wrestling program about 10 years ago called Victory School of Wrestling. We took a little hiatus. We're reopening again this summer. We've got a new facility, and we're really gonna be doing some pretty interesting and fun things in the wrestling community. Our website's not live yet. victoryschoolofwrestling.com is where that's going to be. But I'm on Twitter and on Facebook and doing all of the things, and just trying to spread the love and serve where I can. And we're doing little projects here and there, and it's just amateur hour for me, but I'm taking a risk, and I'm trying to get out there and do some positive things.
Now, Kevin, are you still doing your blog? I know over the years I've kind of followed your blog, and I love it because he brings in topics that people have different opinions on, and it's fun to read. Are you still going with that?
I wrote one a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
Back in September, I challenged myself to do one every day for the month of September, and that was pretty fun. I don't have a ton of followers, like in the hundreds, not thousands, but
right.
It was really fun. It was therapeutic for me. It was more like journaling, just getting some of my thoughts out. But that is definitely something that as this season kind of comes to a close again, however, whenever it is, that is for sure something that I'm gonna be able to dig into and try to make sense of all of the things that have happened over these last few weeks, and be able to do some reflection. So yeah, it's called Lend Me Your Imagination, and it's just kind of a journey into the playground of my mind.
Yeah, it's awesome. I like I said, I've been reading and following for many years now, and we'll link to that in the description for the video. It's a fantastic place to go. Well, thank you for being here with us today, and for all your words. And we'll talk again later.
Okay, thanks a lot. Really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
See ya.